the great Sharman we're going to talk sports. You watch Ted Lasso, Nate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great show.
Coming back in the spring, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, this spring. They don't know when. They just say spring 2023.
Right.
Waiting to find out because that's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's an incredible movie. I saw a couple clips on TikTok last couple days, too, and it's gotten me itching for that next season to come out. Such a good show.
Yeah, I don't know if some of the scenes, the dart scene is incredible.
Probably
great.
Yep.
But yeah, good show. And we're going to add a segment coming up on this show. Is like, what are we watching? There's so many streaming services and shows, and we all watch different ones.
Ooh.
So we're going to share some of our favorites with each other.
Yeah, I got one right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
That 90s show. Did you see the new reboot? If you watched that 70s show?
Oh, I used to love that.
There's
show.
or I don't know if it's a reboot is the correct word, but they brought back all the characters and they did a not that 90s show.
So it's the same characters but older?
It's the same character, but there's new characters too, because there's all like Eric and Donna's kid is the center of the show. So Leia, her name is. And they do all like Kelso's kid is in it too, and they not in real life, of course, but and just kind of going through the summer, and it takes place in the Foreman household too, which is cool. It was really interesting.
So the Foremans would be grandparents at that point?
Yep.
Huh, that is an interesting.
So it's a little bit corny, but it's just kind of like how the 70s show was a little bit. But it's to me, it's not as funny as usually it isn't as the original, but it's still kind of cute.
And the 90s were not as interesting of a decade as the 70s, I think, just in terms of like the decor and the fashion and the music and all that stuff.
Right, like they do a lot of the same stuff. Like the intro music is very similar, it's just sped up. They have the PT Cruiser, which is a lot about that. A lot of the fun stuff in the basement and stuff, and the water towers. They do a lot of cool callback jokes to it. So, and even Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are making an appearance in it, so that's cool. So
that's the thing about that show. There was so much star power in it. So many of these people launched amazing careers.
Mila Kunis lied about her age to be on that show.
Right.
I think she was 15 or 14 or 15, and she at that time, I think you had to be 16. And I think she turned 16 relatively quickly in the taping of it. But she had to say she was a different age, so she.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher.
He is so funny. I think he's hysterical.
Yeah, and the actor that played Eric Foreman too also went on to do a lot of different things. I don't know. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's on Netflix if you want to check it out. Netflix. Yep.
Netflix.
Yep.
Netflix.
And it's only like 8 or 10 episodes, like 20-minute episodes. So it's something I cranked out in about a day and a half. So.
Well, that's the first segment of what are we watching?
Right.
That'll be coming up. We'll do more of that stuff because it's something I think everybody who watches is everybody's always looking for some recommendation on what to watch. And I've watched some really good stuff too over the winter. I watch a lot more of these shows in the winter than the summer. But for now, let's talk sports. High school basketball last night. Most of the games canceled. Only one game from the Wayne Finger Lakes got played. Yep. With Mid Lakes beating Red Jacket, but a nice weekend of high school basketball ahead. Yeah, let's take a look at some games, Jim. We'll start on the boys' side. First of all, tonight a really good game right in our backyard here. Paul Mac taking on Waterloo. Paul Mac, the boys, they've played really well lately, and it's really interesting because early in the season. Waterloo went to Palmac, and Waterloo's Nolan Sluka hit a buzzer beater half-court shot to win that game. Yeah, that was something. So Palmac's going to want some revenge. They've been playing really good basketball. Waterloo's kind of struggling in the last couple weeks or so. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Palmac can kind of get some revenge on the Tigers. Yeah, I think Palmac has to be getting close to maybe being in position to clinch the FL East. I think Palmac's, I can remember them losing one. They lost. Did they lose to Wayne though? Yeah, they lost to Wayne. They probably got to play Wayne again, I would think. Yep. So that's going to be a big game. Wayne has gone ahead and lost more. Like Newark, I think Palmac's only lost 2 games. The Waterloo game and the Wayne game. In league. Yep, that makes sense. So, but on the Upstate Hoops podcast next Monday, maybe we'll take a look at some of those league standings more closely because we're getting down to the stretch run here. Yep. So that is a good one in Waterloo, and we're not doing that one, are we? No. Are we going to be there? No, we'll be there Friday for a girls' game. The girls' game. In Palmac, though, for Waterloo at girls. Palmac. Yep. So a couple more boys' games. Red Creek taking on ER, which we saw ER, or Red Creek, excuse me, both those teams actually play Lions relatively close. Yeah.
Both were double-digit leads at the end of the game against
12
Lions.
12 points only for Red Creek, though. That was pretty surprising result.
I think Kyle said that it was like a 1 or 2 point game at half.
Yeah.
So that was really cool for those teams. Lions, obviously the cream of the crop in the Wayne County League, so it's pretty cool for those teams.
We got to start paying a little more attention to Red Creek as we get closer to sectionals, because they seem to be C2 or C3, but maybe a contender.
Yeah.
Being able to stay with Lions like that, and Red Creek didn't have a program a couple years ago. They didn't even have a boys program. They had previously. They had some pretty good teams with players like Nick Klein and Jake Slobe, and then they weren't able to field a team for a couple years, and now they're back and these playing some good basketball.
Yeah, we'll see what the Rams can do. And on Saturday, we go outside of the Wayne Finger Lakes League. Not a lot of action going on Saturday, but we take a look at Victor taking on Aquinas in boys. Victor's still 12-0 on the season.
Yeah.
So, and Aquinas is a pretty good team too. They only have a few losses, so that'll be a good game. See if the Victor Blue Devils can keep it going. Over on the girls' side, like I mentioned, big game tomorrow night. Paul, that'll be at Paul Mac Waterloo girls. In Paul Mac, Paul will be on the Paul Mac YouTube with the Paul Mac students. Kevin Schlegel does a great job over there, kind of manning that program.
I was reviewing some of our old broadcasts. If you watch our 24/7 feed, you see we've run a lot of classic, we call it FO1 Sports Classic. So I was looking at some candidates to add to that rotation, and I came across a Palmac Waterloo girls game in Waterloo. It was close down to the stretch, and Palmac won that game. Then it had to be, I would say it was like 2020, and you have to go back pretty far to find Waterloo losing a game in the Finger Lakes East.
Right.
Friday night is one of those opportunities, I guess, for the team to break their winning streak.
Right. We were at that game, Paul and I, in Waterloo early in the season, and I think it was the tie game. Maybe Waterloo led by a point or two, and then they went on a crazy run. They won by double digits. Waterloo suffocated them in the fourth quarter. So it'd be interesting to see if the Red Raiders can kind of come back to life on that one. So tip is at 7:30 for that one on Friday night. I skipped over the Thursday game though. Actually, Dundee Bradford, the Brave Scots are taking on Marcus Whitman, which is a good test for Dundee Bradford. They've been rising up our power rankings. They've been playing well, so that's a good test for them. And on Sunday, a really good game too. East Rochester, the Lady Bombers, are taking on Bloomfield. Bloomfield, another team that's
cross league battle.
Yep. So Bloomfield's played well this year. So
on Sunday
or Saturday. Yep.
Saturday.
I'm sorry, I said Sunday. They play Mercy too, which I think is interesting for ER. I think they play them on either today or tomorrow. So
yeah, all girls school in Rochester, AA, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. So
a couple of good tests for Lady Bombers. They've had an interesting season after going to the state quarterfinals or state semifinals, last year. So yeah, all really fun things in Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball.
It's only going to heat up from here on out. As I mentioned, next week is February. On Wednesday's February 1st. So
yeah, that's wild.
Once we hit February, sectionals begin in February. So we actually are, usually around Valentine's Day is the end of the regular season. And then we get into it. And by the first weekend in March, we're at the Blue Cross Arena.
Right.
So
another reason we like February, it's birthday month for the two of us.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Well, I don't like my birthday so much anymore as I used to, but what the heck? What are you going to do?
We're going to celebrate. That's what we're going to do.
Time marches on.
All right, I want to leave you guys with one last golf scenario that Josh and I talked about on Out of Bounds. The golf podcast.
I watched that. It was great.
We do once a week on Tuesday nights, and it's something that's been kind of going around social media, but I was excited to ask Josh about it, and I'd like to get your input too, Sid. Of course, you guys being golfers. So you're settled with a putt, and you have one chance to make it, and the money goes up every single foot you increase. So a 1-footer is for $10,000, 2-footer for $20,000, 3-footer for $30,000, so on and so forth. So where would you guys decide to putt from? I said on the show on Tuesday that I would just take a 2-footer for $20,000, hopefully make that without too many frills, and just move on and be able to take that $20,000. Where would you guys be at?
I'll go because I was thinking, what would it be? And you know what? I'm surprised that you're like, I'm just going to do the 2-footer because I was like, me being the amateur golfer I am confident that I could at least do the 3-footer. That's where I was going in my head. I will take 3 feet for 30,000. Final answer.
Okay.
I've done a lot of putt-putt golf in my life, and it has helped me in the regular golf world. It has.
Well, you're standing over this 3-foot putt, and in your mind, you know that if you make it, you get $30,000. If you miss it, you get nothing. And all of a sudden, that 3 feet looks a lot longer.
I don't let that get into my head. You taught me that specifically in tournaments, that I need to own it, and I need to know that I'm going to make it, and I need to be confident in myself.
Golf is all about confidence. That's for sure.
Even though that doesn't always work out. And my thought is, in this scenario, if I lose the 30,000, I didn't have it before, and now I don't have it now.
Yeah, well, that's one way to look at it, to maybe
help
calm
myself.
your nerves as you get over it. Say, well, hey, geez, this is a great opportunity. I got nothing to lose here, only everything to gain.
Maybe I'm feeling froggy and I'll do 5 feet. I don't know. It depends on that day and how I was doing on the way up. What would you do?
The 2-foot range for me is one of my least favorite putts. I don't have the yips per se, but when you get to that range that you're supposed to make every time, that's when I tend to a little uncertainty creeps in, I guess. And it's something I really worked hard on, because and a lot of people too, as they play golf, that's good, scoop up the 2-footer. Then you end up playing in a tournament, and all of a sudden those aren't good anymore, and you've seen it time and time again. It's like, those aren't good. Those 2-footers are not good. You need to knock them in. And so I always try to, when I play golf, to get most of my balls to the bottom of the hole regardless. Even if somebody says it's good, step over, knock it in. I mean, you're playing golf. The goal is to get the ball in the hole. And so if you're playing 18 holes and your ball's only going in the bottom of the hole 5 or 6 times, then what's up with that?
Sometimes it's nice to hear it hit the bottom of the hole too. Confidence.
Reach in there, scoop it out, go to the next hole. But my sweet spot is between like 5 and 10 feet. Like, I feel like I'm one of the better putters from that range.
What is this table?
Our anchor desk here is 13 feet long, I believe. So about half of it would be about 6.5 feet.
We have ways that we could do this. We go down there and we put a cup at the end and we putt, and then we can see.
The only problem is I don't have $50,000 to give you.
I'm saying just for us to see if our predictions of what we said we could do to make that money, I think we should maybe try it.
I would go 5 feet for 50,000 and then pick up a couple Bitcoins.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe that you said 2 feet, but you know what? You're like, all right, this is fine. I know I can make it.
$20,000.
Yeah. But I'm like, you got to push the envelope a little bit.
The 2-footer though is it's not a guarantee, but it's a thing you can say, yes, I'm just going to take the easy money. I'm going to knock this 2-footer down, and you do it.
Yeah.
It just would be tough to live with yourself if you miss that one. But and if you look at like PGA Tour stats from 10 feet, these guys are only making probably a little over half from 10 feet.
I think it's about that.
Yeah. So I mean, so if you're going to say I'll take 10 feet for the 100,000,
like probably a 20% chance.
Yeah,
for the amateur golfer.
I think from 2 feet I probably make 9 to 10, maybe 8 to 10. Maybe I'm overestimating. From
that's
2
probably
feet,
good. Yeah,
from 2
that's
feet.
probably good.
Because like I say, you make a lot, and the greens that we putt on are different than the greens that the pros putt on. So even a 2-footer that's struck perfectly well could catch the corner of a cup that's not well cut, or it could take a little bump.
He's really thinking about this.
There's a lot of parameters.
Yeah, but for 5 feet, I feel like I feel like I'm going to make all my 5-footers, even though I obviously don't. But I'm confident enough in it. It's a nice payoff at $50,000. I think if you move back to 10 feet, I'd be tempted to do that too, but I think your percentage, especially as an amateur, goes down to maybe like 2 or 3 out of 10.
Right.
If that. Yeah. So, but then I ask myself,
why not go to 11 or 12, right?
How about give me 50? Give me a 50-footer for a chance to win 5 million or 500,000, would it be? Or would it be 500,000? And let's go.
I still think we should do a little experiment. If we didn't break Felicia's little putting thing she had in the office, I could go get it right now, but we broke it.
Again, that doesn't work unless you have the funding to.
No, it does, for your mental psyche of like, all right, I said I would do that, and look, I did it. So,
but if you're doing it without anything on the line, it's not doing it. The whole thing about golf is the pressure of something being on the line for that.
The pressure is you said it on this show, and then if you say like, I'm so confident, I'm so good at this, and you miss it, we're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, well, I didn't lose $50,000.
Well, you didn't. You wouldn't have lost it in the first place. You just would have never had it.
Well, a chance to get it.
We need to try it.
Anyways,
I'm confident that we need to try it.
We need a sponsor.
Yes. Yeah. Who wants to sponsor us?
Tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking NFL playoffs, our betting preview for the 2 games on Sunday. And I tell you, last week I was really super confident about all 4 games. Well, let's say I was super confident about 3 of the games, and the other one I wasn't quite as confident, but I swept them. I won them all. Incredible betting weekend last weekend during the NFL divisional rounds. Heading into this Sunday's games, I can't. I'm going back and forth. I don't know what to do. I think I'm starting to work it out in my head and know where I'm gonna, lay my money on. But
get it figured out by tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna sit down with I don't know who'll be here.
Nate,
Paul for sure.
Paul, Kyle, I think was going to come in.
Josh
That'll be a good
here.
conversation.
Yeah. So don't place your bets until you tune in tomorrow morning for our
experts.
Yeah.
That Chiefs game, that line is moving like crazy. Mahomes practiced yesterday.
Yeah.
Expected to practice again today. I think it's still I looked this morning on the green book, as Paul would call it. Mm-hmm. I still see the Bengals as 1-point favorite, which is
and of course it's opened with the Chiefs being 1.5-point favorites. I think.
Yeah.
And that's really odd. It's something that doesn't happen. A home team in the conference championship game being an underdog, especially when they opened as a favorite, that never happens. It's an anomaly.
Right.
And then, of course, on the other side, you got the 49ers who've won 12 straight, coming all the way east to play in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. It's with Brock Purdy, an undefeated rookie quarterback against Jalen Hurts. It's there's too much. It's tough. It's
awesome.
tough.
These are the times that make me want to bet. So I
do have a couple ways I'm leaning, and I like games too where you just kind of see it and you're like, oh yeah, I really feel good. Like this is what's going to happen. They're wrong about that line. Mm-hmm. With these, it's like, geez, I could go either way. Could make a case either way. So we'll talk about it tomorrow on the show.
Sounds good.